Hi, and welcome to Happy Fisherman Adventures.
I hope, I dream, I wish to catch a big fish, and I do it when I can. I'm a happy fisherman, and I do it when I can. I'm a happy fisherman.
Today's episode is all about King George whiting at St Leonards.
But before we start, tuna. Heaps and heaps of tuna in Portland, just behind the rock, very close in. Marco, Sharkman charters, real time, they're all bagging out. And they're bagging out by 10 o'clock in the morning, so it's fantastic. Again, Bowen heads to Cape Schanck, barrels. Local barrels are on. Be careful, all I can say. Don't get tricked by the swells and all that stuff, because it can be very unpleasant out there. But yeah, there is some big fish and they're catching them blind, so you really just get out there and start trolling. And yeah, it's not like they show much live, and apparently if you see whales, troll around there. King George whiting, no problem. St Leonards been great. My favorite, your favorite, garfish from Mount Martha to Mornington. There's plenty, actually even to Frankston. They're catching nighttime at Frankston Pier. There's plenty of garfish around. Just burley a bit, they'll actually come in behind the boat.
Our adventure is from the...
15th to 16th of July.
Yes, it was raining that day, I believe. You and Michael had the overalls on. So
We put them to work. It worked, and they actually warm. The rain stayed away. It's actually great. And yeah, so first, the 15th is me, you and Michael actually catching King George whiting at St Leonards. The 16th is back on the same spot. There is Will there is other people, and we were actually having on board Emin.
That's right, my nephew.
That's right. So let's watch the first video. Well, it's raining, it's miserable, but that didn't stop us to go fishing. Today, for the first time, we're putting to test our new Happy Fisherman overalls. They're actually windproof and rainproof, so we'll see how we go. As usual, we launched locally in Werribee, and today's target was King George whiting, so we were on the way to St Leonards. The good thing was that the wind was down and the water was really calm. Saying that, it was wet and yeah, it was a little bit cold. And here is Mima, she's trying to cheer us up a little bit. The time was about 2 p.m. and we were planning to get to St Leonards just after the tide change. It was pretty calm, so we got there in less than half an hour. As we got there was already a few people around, and yeah, we were scanning around just to find the right spot. We started setting up, and the game was on. I made sure all the cameras are working, but what I didn't check is if it's there any raindrops on the lenses. As you can see on Mima's hands, in some places the footage will be blurry. After about 20 minutes we didn't have any luck, so we made the move. Well, while I was cutting the bait, Mima said that she already had few nibbles, so this was a little bit more promising. And then in no time we had our first fish on the boat. Again, pilchard and squid cocktail worked really well. On the other side of the boat, Michael kept getting ripped off, so obviously that side had a bit more grass, and where grass is there is millions of leather jackets and they just steal your bait. In that situation, you have to try and cast a little bit further away and try to find that sand patch. In the meantime, Mima was on another fish. So looks like she actually found the honey hole and she's been casting in the same spot over and over. The fish wasn't that big, but between 32 and 38 centimeters in average.
Well, me and my thing was whiting fish. In the next video, we're just going to continue with the King George whiting action.
As you can see, we were quite busy, but saying that, we did not get fish on every cast. We got some, we lost some, we got ripped off most of the times by leather jackets, but that's part of fishing at St Leonards. But we were persistent, and by being persistent, we do get awarded from time to time. Somehow, after about an hour in, the fish started coming on to Michael's side. So he found the honey hole and he started bringing them in like not tomorrow. Also to say, Michael was using paternoster rig. Compared to me and Mima, we were using the Tinganosta, the running rig. So he was getting them on top hook, which was a little bit strange for me because normally whiting feeds on the bottom. What I do believe that it's happening here, when Michael started casting further away, the top hook, obviously because of the angle of the line, was close to the bottom, and that's when the King George whiting just picks it up. All in all, at this stage, Michael was catching and Mima was watching, so that was a little bit strange again. After all this, I actually grabbed the rod and started casting in different places, till actually I found the spot where they were feeding. So yeah, it's just strange that they only sit in one patch, in that one, well, call it honey hole. Yeah, it just works. Then as the sun starts going down, the fish start to be a little bit more aggressive, so we were getting them from both sides of the boat. Also, it didn't matter paternoster rig or Tinganoster rig, they were taking anything we sent to them. Mainly, they were loaded with pilchard and squid as we normally do, but I did try pippies, I did try a bit of mussels just to give it something different, and yeah, they all worked. Even that we always encourage you not to leave the rod out of your hands, the one that we had in rod holder, even that worked. So basically, once they gone on this hot bite, I just worked. They were taking everything, it didn't matter, and they were really aggressive. As per Happy Fisherman overalls, they actually really worked well. They are rainproof, they are windproof, they kept us warm. We didn't actually sweat, as I was expecting that, but no, they were actually really good. Just to close this session, the action was really hot till the sun came down. Once the sun hit the horizon, that was it. Like someone turned off the light. There was no bites, no nibbles, game over.
Well, today with us in the studio we have a special guest, my nephew Emin.
Hi guys.
Emin came with us on the boat a few days ago and we were targeting King George whiting.
We also got a couple of squid. They were very difficult to get because of the high tides and the environment wasn't right. But, well, we only caught 2 and I got both of them.
Well done. But the main target was King George whiting. Can you tell us anything about catching King George whiting?
They are very hard fish to get, and my first time catching them, it Took me about 3 throws to catch one fish, and you have to like slowly reel them in. But all of that hard work, that it pays off because they're very delicious and they cost a lot of money. Speaking of that, my grandma is an amazing cook. She always cooks us food. We catch the food and she cooks it.
I agree with you. She's amazing. How was your experience on the day?
It was really good. It was fun, and I really enjoyed riding on the boat. The tide, there were a lot of waves, and I loved it when the boat would jump up and down.
Did you learn something special?
Yes, how to catch fish.
That's amazing. Let's watch the video. This time we had a mission to complete. First, Tibby and Michael were going to St Leonards, and they had Ellen and Tabet in their new Stasa Seamaster 481 following. It was the first time that Ellen took this boat across from Werribee to St Leonards, and to be safe, there is nothing better than following someone. As they left Werribee, Tibby got Michael to drive the boat so he can film Ellen a bit and also make sure that they are okay. Everything was great, as the water was calm and they were doing over 40 kilometers per hour. The distance from Werribee to St Leonards is about 30 kilometers, so it took about 40 minutes to get there. As they got there, they caught up with Will, and Tibby told Ellen to anchor close to Will so Will can give them some tips and tricks we use. At the same time, Tibby anchored on the other side of Will and they started to get ready. Will was here 20 minutes before them, and he already had half a dozen King George whiting, which was a good sign. Saying that, Tibby was onto them very quick. At this stage, another boat came around 30 meters away from Tibby and Michael, and Tibby called them to come closer as the whiting was just there.
Alright, catch him! Come closer! Come here! Pilchards! Small pieces of pilchards and squid! Come in line with me!
On the other side, Will was still in action. Whiting was on a chew and they all started getting some. Even Ellen and Tabet had 2 on board and they were very happy. Also, Tibby's new friends that came closer were in action. Small pieces of pilchard was the key, but pippies and squid also worked. The action was hot and everyone was catching. But the highlight of the day was that Tibby's new friends, every time they hooked up, they were singing the Happy Fisherman song. On the other side, Will was still getting them, but Ellen and Tabet were still on 2 fish only. What made Tibby happy is that his new friends managed to get onto them. It's the happy fisherman thing to make other people happy. You should try it, it makes you feel really good. Then I called Tibby to pick me and Emin up. My nephew was excited to spend time with me and Tibby on the boat. So Tibby came back to Werribee to pick us up and we were on our way back to St Leonards. We showed Emin that we already had some fish on board and he was excited. On the way to St Leonards, Tibby got him to drive the boat. Now, Even he's only 12, it is legal for him to be behind the wheel as long as there is a person with a boat license there tutoring. Emin looked proud as he was doing a great job. It's important to teach them young as they will be safe and sound when they are 18 and run the boat on their own. As we got there, Will was on his way out. He started early and he had had enough for the day. At this stage, Ellen and Tabet already had few King George whiting on board, which is magnificent for first-timers. Also, our friends Brett, Izzy and Bruno just arrived here from the Mornington side. Since it was slack tide and Emin wanted to catch a squid, we went quick towards St Leonards Pier and drifted for the squid. They didn't really want to play the game, but we did hook up. Emin got this one in, and then he managed one more on the other side. First one took the solid black jig, while the second one took the Shimano clinch banana color. Then we were teaching Emin how to put a squid out by giving him a karate chop. Just to mention, Tibi got himself a second Hookem squid net, and we will explain in the next few episodes what really happened with the first one, so you don't make the same mistake. After a while, we went back to our King George whiting spot. There were few boats around and fish was on and off. On our Seaview underwater gadget, we could not see any King George whiting. Then Emin managed to hook up, but it was only a flathead. Saying that, very quick he hooked up again, and this time it was the target fish. His first King George whiting. In no time, both Emin and Michael were on. Some of the fish was nice size, but lots of them we did throw back as they were too small. Underwater, plenty of leather jackets, but still no sign of King George whiting. Small pieces of squid and pilchard definitely worked great. As you can see, Emin was concentrating very hard, but it did pay off as he was catching quite few. And yes, some had to go back. Well, Emin ended up catching quite a few fish on the day, so can you give us any tips and tricks?
Well, you have to be very patient with the fish and connect with all of the fish and your fishing rod. If you see like a nibble or feel a nibble on your fishing rod, it's kind of a sign that the fish is starting to get more attracted to the bait. And once you feel that, you have to slowly rise your rod up in order to not scare the fish.
Very true. Do you remember what bait you were using? Can you tell us?
Well, we were using pilchard and squid that we cocktailed to in order to catch our King George whiting.
Yeah, cocktail of pilchard and squid. That's
Yes.
right. The action continued and everyone was happy. Here is why we always say you need to grab King George whiting by head as they are very slippery. Underwater again, no sign of King George whiting. Lots of leather jackets and floating grass, but we still managed to catch whiting. At one stage, they just kept coming. Lots of them we put back, but it was fun to catch them. Then, as Brett was on his way back, he came past to give us some long-shank Tiganosta rigs as we ran out of them. As per young Emin, he was in his element. He got the touch and he was bringing few fish in the boat. One thing I will point out, the fish were mainly on one side of the boat. So, if you catch one, try and cast in the same spot, as there is probably a sand patch right there. As it got dark, it was time to put the fish in the Hookem scaler bag and head off home. Alan and Tabet did follow us and they were very happy with the 57 King George whiting that they got between the three of them. Not a bad effort for the first-timers.
Well, I had a few questions at Geelong Marine World, and this gentleman asked me, do I use the wide gap hooks? And no, we don't. We use a circle hook, a little circle hook by Redis. It's a Mutu hook. And obviously this is the Redis rig. So this is the Tiganosta. It's a meter leader and just a drop a loop in the middle where we attach our sinker. That's all. With someone actually loves the circle hooks, Viva, and some other ones like Brett himself loves the long shank hooks. So it's your own preference, I suppose.
Definitely.
Again, thanks for your support. Thanks everyone that purchased our t-shirt, that done some donations on our website, and yeah, we really appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and we will see you next time.
I hope, I dream, I wish to catch a big fish, and I do